All right, so let's talk.
Let's
Let's
stop.
stop. You're going to edit some of it, or maybe you do or you don't.
Well, if you want me to stop,
That's
I'll
fine.
stop and then we'll get it. Yeah, that's what Ron Gunn, I said, I want to talk to you. No, I can't tell my stories.
Yes.
No.
Too naughty.
Yeah, I can imagine
Boy
that.
should have so many stories.
He does.
He does.
No, I'll have to think about it.
Oh.
So I really,
That would be a
Well, we
great...
have
really
nothing.
want to talk to Ron
We
Gunn.
have nothing to hide, so.
Not much.
Well, let's talk about just this weekend because the 40th anniversary of Sodano, and you're back on the floor for your show, and you did your signature dance, quick step.
Yes.
Tonight you do Viennese waltz.
Yes.
So how was that going back on the floor here?
Well, first of all, Sam called us maybe, 4 or 5 months ago. He said, I would like you to dance in Ohio. And we said, oh, yeah, we're not dancing anymore. And, but it was the 40th anniversary, so we had to do something for Sam.
Do you notice how she's letting you talk?
Wait,
That's fine.
you're so
That's
cool.
fine.
Did I let Pierre talk? Go ahead.
It's going to take over soon. So when he called us, we said we have to do the Ohio 40 years because we were here so many years, 1 year after the other, and the crowd was behind us and all this, so we couldn't say no to Sam. So we prepared something for this weekend. And this is a big production.
Yes.
Oh, this is a big production with Michael Chapman, who organized all this. It's a big production.
So maybe Pierre wants to say something.
No, I just felt it was very interesting when you said, Bonita, that we did a bit of our signature dance, because I remember when I started to dance with Mireille, I was always, we were always 10 dancers,
Right.
always, but before I was dancing with Mireille, I was doing much better with my Latin division, and then people never really recognized my ballroom skills, and then we worked the other way around. It's very funny because all the judges, they started to notice us from the quick step. Because in the early dances, they didn't think we were good enough, serious enough. But then in the quick step, they go like, I think maybe you can do it. Maybe they can do that. And then they started from the foxtrot to look at us, and then from the Viennese. So I always say it's very interesting because we became also very successful in the ballroom section, but starting not from the first dance, but from the last dance.
Yeah.
It took us longer, obviously, because very often if you have a great impact in the walls, judges are more interested to look at you to see how you will continue to dance, through the other dancers. But I always felt that they had very little interest from the first dance to the second one or third. But then, we kind of worked the last one to the first one. So never quit. That's the one thing I've learned. Never give up.
Well, I
Just
remember
never
you
give
saying
up.
that years ago. We decided we would make our quick step really special. Try to make that right.
Yeah.
And we were practicing really the 5 dances.
Yeah, all the
Sometimes
time.
It's 20% of your results, so you better practice
Yeah,
every
that's right.
no? Yeah.
And I remember when you first got together, when I met you, you were with Denny,
Yes.
and you were with Christiane. And then when I moved to Ohio to dance with Chuck Bannister, I didn't see you as much as when we were going to Miriam.
Yes.
And Chuck tells me one day, well, Pierre and Mireille went to dance together. It's all wrong.
Oh, it's true.
Everyone's saying it's all wrong, and I was like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll never work.
Well,
Well, we
Did you
thought
hear
this.
that?
We,
Did
well,
you hear this?
yeah, a lot of comments.
We, even ourselves, we wonder, is it the right thing? People could say I was either too big for her and she's too small for me.
So you were obviously dating then?
Who?
At the beginning, yes.
No. At
No?
the beginning?
We did 2
dance
months.
together?
We did 2 months.
Not at the beginning.
No?
No.
We started dancing in April, and we did our first competition in June.
That's correct.
10 dance, and then we had a show in Vancouver the weekend after, and then we started to date.
Yes, you didn't know that, huh?
No, I thought you
And
were
we were
dating.
both,
and
no,
then-
we were both in different relationship, And I
You
was
knew
there.
each other forever.
Yes.
Yes, correct.
And
But
when-
I got out of my relationship, very sweet girl, very, very nice. nothing to do with dancing. And then I just felt, again, as I said, very sweet, but it was not going to go anywhere. So I decided to split up. And then, I split up with Christiane. And then I always had Mireille in mind, I thought she was a super girl. And then I told her, actually the first time after because for me it's very important. I wanted to feel good about what I was doing, even though it was tough decisions. So I went to see my ex-girlfriend. I told her that this was over. I went to see Christiane, which we were very successful again.
Oh, yeah.
But we had some rough times, and then I told Christiane it's not going to work. So I think that when I was free, then I said, I need to talk to you, Mireille. And then I always felt something for her, but I never told her. And then, I said, I need to talk to you. And
Always, did that go back to?
Oh,
when you were
years
very young?
before that.
Even a long
Very
time
young, very young.
ago, yeah.
Yes,
Before.
yes, but I was also very, very busy with my own dancing. That was very important at the time. My dancing was my priority. Did I wanted to date girls? Yes, but my dancing was my priority.
And when you
But
has-
at that point, I said, I need to talk to you, and I told her, I said, I'm sure you've heard of that, because we were all in the same studio anyway, Miriam's
Yeah.
studio. And then I told her, I said, I think I would like to try to dance with you, see if, that would make it possible. And I'm probably sure that would not spend the rest of my life.
the first date, he asked me
I
this.
told her that.
I would like to
Did you really?
dance
Oh, yes.
with you, and I would like to spend the rest of my life with you.
Is that how you
We're going to take a minute.
Yes, oh yes, her.
We will take a minute. We will think. And I was in a relationship
Yeah,
on
she
one
was.
side,
So
but
you were not clear of that? yet?
No.
No, not clear of that.
Me, my mind was clear
Yeah.
that time.
Right. So it was not clear, but I said, we're going to start dancing first, and then we'll see how it grows. And
If it's anything
so,
developed.
what?
Did you talk to Miriam, or did you go ahead and make your way first?
We didn't really talk
Well,
to Miriam about it.
Again, we look back. This is in 1985. This is a long time ago. The dancers on the international scenes, it was not as open as it is today. Where people now they seem to commute they come from any country or and then I wanted somebody local because I think we had a lot of great talent locally, and then it's always make things easier. I think if it's locally, even though it's not
You
easy.
don't have to travel.
But exactly.
And I stopped dancing 2 years before.
I remember that.
Yes.
You retired.
Yes.
1983, I stopped with Denis, so I was not dancing. I had 2 tryouts, but it didn't feel. I love dancing, but I wouldn't dance for. I want to dance. And take somebody that doesn't fit. Or I wouldn't do that. I don't love enough dancing for that. I love to be partner with somebody that can get along, and so to me this was my priority. So then we started in '85, 2 months, and then we were.
And then at the time, when the actual idea of dancing with Mireille in my mind came in, I'm starting to study a little bit the history of ballroom dancing, and then I realized that many partnerships were successful, not having what we would call the ideal partnership.
Michael and Vicky Barr were not.
Michael and
No.
Vicky, we had Anthony and
Anthony
Faye,
and Faye,
Peter and Brenda,
Bill and Bobby.
Bill and Bobby,
Bill and
they were
Bobby,
almost
yeah,
the opposite.
almost the opposite.
So yes, it is probably easier to fit the bodies and things like that. But at the same time, it's just like we know now more because of course we're more experienced as well, not only as dancers but as well as coaches. But we can always learn how to dance. Is to get along, which is the most important, because then if you really get along, and then you have the desire and the same passion, then you can really develop something. Even though you have the best physical partnership, if they don't get along, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to work, So I was hoping, and we were hoping at the time that, again, our common passion and desire to progress in this field would compensate, in a way, for what people thought it would be wrong.
But your leg length is very well matched.
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
correct. You know, she got long legs for the height, and my legs are slightly shorter than normal.
Say it, say it. Say it.
They're just slightly shorter than
Just like
normal.
me.
According to a worldwide survey.
Exactly.
You said something that I always remember. You were still a Christian, and we were all so young, in our 20s. But he said something that I still remember because I thought, what maturity he has in his mind. And just talking in general about a champion, and he said, I feel that a champion has to be of a certain maturity. I don't feel that dancing's enough. That you have to be able to represent the field and conduct yourself in a certain way.
That's correct.
And I thought,
You were impressed?
this young man, yeah.
Really, you were impressed?
So you already had this idea.
Yes, I believe that. Still believe that today.
You want to talk about that a little bit? I think it's good
Well,
for people to
but
hear
it's
it.
pretty simple, you know. I mean, it's
Uh-huh.
not only about the dancing. You know, that's the thing. You know, the dancing is the vehicle of showing, you know, an art form, which is also very sporty because let's face it, you know, I would never dance my best book step when I'm 80 years old.
No.
I think you could write your best book maybe or paint something, you know,
Paint.
Certainly
but I don't think I
physically
would.
demanding.
So, you know, there's always this big debate, you know, is it an art, is it a sport, you know? So I think it's a very sporty art in a way. And then,
The glamour sport, that's how they refer to it in
Yeah.
like skating.
yes,
Glamour sports.
And I think that his way of seeing things, and you can tell me, because I'm talking, his way of seeing things comes from the values that his parents. It's not only it's started, you know, when he was very young, and they have great values, and that's what they say, they didn't have tons of money, but this was always, you know, important, and so the way you conduct yourself, I think it's a reflection of that. So.
yes, and again, you know, just to continue, just again, when you become the champion, you're not only necessarily, because this is a strong field, and for years I remember, because I used to ask Mireille, I'm not too sure why we are winning. And even after we retired and winning for so many years, it still wasn't sure for me why we were winning. I used to look at other couples and thought that they were very good. And then, you know, I never put down anyone. I've always felt they're all very good, but I need to be better. Because anyway, I'm not controlling what they're doing on that floor. I can only control what I'm doing. I cannot control what the judges are actually doing. So I can only just control what I'm doing. You know, even, you know, when we had conversations at the time, and then there would be a new couple or somebody, you know, just developing good, and Mireille would worry a little bit. I used to tell Mireille, we have nothing to do with these couples. You know, we're not going to lose our energy talking about them. Let's use this energy and focus and develop our dancing. You know. So for me, it was always about that. And then, did I want to win? No, I was happy to win, but I only had one goal, is to actually make the final. And then I remember as a young boy, as a very young dancer, even before I was actually with Mireille, you know, I was dreaming of dancing somewhere, and people were actually standing up and giving me applause.
Wow.
I didn't remember
It's a
about
dream come
winning.
true.
Yes, I didn't remember about
Did
winning.
you know about that dream? No?
I don't know everything.
No, you know that now.
One more.
So for me, it was just to get out there and do what I love to do. It's just as simple as that. Just do what I love to do.
But you always had a beautiful feeling between the two of you, and also to your audience that was warm and in character,
Yes,
that always has felt sincere.
yes.
And so is that the love of dancing and your...
I think so, because, you know, it's funny, I tell the people that the story often that, you know, we had this reputation of being very close to the audience and to really, you know, we were successful with the audience. And I'll tell, you know, even my young dancers, I said, honestly, I didn't care about them so much. but I care about her and me as a couple, and I felt that if we do our things so good, I think it would bring them to us. They will feel the sincerity.
Right,
It
it's sincere, and so there was never a couple to make faces.
No.
Everything's sincere when you look at her, and then you can feel that. And if you come by and you catch someone's eye, it's just you're not lost in your head, or not trying to perform so much, as it just always seemed to be so natural.
Because we were focusing on one
another. That's
another.
what the dance is.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely. Our system wants us to go on the big dance floor surrounded by other couples with an audience watching, but we still got to do what we got to do together.
Yes, it's intimate no matter how big it's.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
But when you started, didn't you and Benoit come in together to the studio? Benoit Papineau?
Yes.
And that was to meet girls, no?
Absolutely.
You went
Well, I
to
didn't.
dancing
I met Benoit at the dance place. I
Already.
didn't know him before.
already.
This is why I met him. I went there for the girls. I was 14 years old. My brother and sister, they were already dancing. They were part of a group class from the fall session, which is from September to December. And then when they went back on the January session, and after the first lesson, they came back and they told me that there was all the free girls. So I said, I'm in.
Free girls.
Free is not good.
Well, girls available. Girls available, you know. So I said, I'm in. So I went basically for the dancing for the girl, and then this is where I was introduced to Benoit, my best friend Benoit Papineau, Benoit's sister. I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Started like this.
And then the very first competition is so funny because, Benoit's mother was actually a little bit in charge of helping, the teacher to take, presents and then organize a few things. And then I used to go there to practice for the first competition. But we never practiced. The only thing we did was look at the list and say, oh, this one is dangerous.
Oh, wait.
Oh, this one, no, not too good.
No,
Oh,
that was
this
your
one,
practice.
maybe, Okay, bye-bye. So, and then I did the first competition, first one got kicked out.
everybody else
That was
Who
very
did you
funny.
dance with? Did you dance with Ben's sister?
Yes, I did. She was my very first partner. And then to this day, every time she sees me, she says, remember, I produced you.
You're responsible for your success.
It's very funny.
And
Just a
where
good
were
family.
the lessons? Was this with Miriam or someplace?
No, she was Madame Lucienne Lancio.
Non, pas Lucienne.
Not Lucienne. Yolande.
Yolande Lancio.
She was my very first teacher. And then so I danced a little bit with Benoit's sister. And then, I loved it so much. And I was one of the top girls at the studio at the time at that place, that school, that she lost her partner. She was one of the top one. So I was flirting with her because I wanted to dance with her. And then, through the summer, I went to her place, to her house, every day almost, so I could learn all the stuff that she knew. And then, by September, when the teacher saw me, she says, where did you learn all this?
C'est bon.
So I danced with her for about a year, I was runner-up in the provincial championship, and this is where, I decided to go to Miriam. And my teacher was just Yolande, wonderful, wonderful person, she really gave me the love of dancing. And then, after I danced with that girl there, she was another Christian, by the way, Christian Demes. And then, Mrs. Lancer, she came to see me, she says, I'm watching you, Pierre, I think that, you really want this badly, She says, I think I would recommend you go to some schools where they will take care of you and they could bring you to where I think you want to go. So she didn't try to keep me or, so she gave me a couple of, addresses. Miriam was one of those. So we went to, and I was with Benoit at the time, and we went to see Miriam. And
Was Benoit competing then?
Benoit was competing with his other sister. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes. So when we had our first meeting with Miriam, Benoit was there. He was dancing with his sister. I did not have a partner back then. And then, we booked an appointment. I still remember Miriam was working with a few good couples already, And then at the time, she was always a bit late. Anyway,
At the time?
At the time. No.
I was going to say, I remember those days. Have a lesson at 11.
don't say that. This is going to be watched by everyone. At the time, she was at times a bit late. But then, you know, we were so scared, you know, and then, you know, we had the meeting with her, and the meeting was 2 minutes. She said, well, if you want to work, that'll be fine, otherwise I don't need you here. Yes, Mrs. I think at the time was it Pierce? Okay, and I says, yes, no, we'll be good, and we promise. And then we left, and we went to take the bus, and then went back home.
And then you started.
Of course. But then I was looking for a partner back then, so.
But how fortunate to be with Miriam.
Oh, yes.
Right from
Yes.
the beginning.
She
Yes.
was transformational for me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Miriam gave me my first group lesson in my life.
Yes.
Really?
She had one teacher.
Started with her.
Mireille's one teacher.
I was 13, and my parents were taking lesson in the parish, you know.
Well, they were dancing already.
They were dancing already. They were competing already. So I was dancing with my dad. Then I think I started dancing like maybe around 6 years old, but I was only dancing with my dad because he was taking lesson and he was showing me what he learned. So around 12, 13, he says, would you like to go and take lesson? So I said, yeah. So I talked to another parents. They have a boy. This was Denis Tremblay. The parents were in the same
Started
class.
with Jenny then.
Yes, I started with Denis first day. I had like one group lesson on my own. And it's funny because when we got at the time, one of the best school was Neveu, like Maisonneuve. It's a family, okay? And
Remember, yes.
Maisonneuve,
Marie-Rose
Marie-Rose.
Yeah.
So
and Emile.
it was the best school. And so my dad said, okay, we're gonna go there. So we went there, and we were going there to take lessons with Lison Neveu, because she was the one that had all the kids and all this. So. And then Monsieur Neveu came down and he says, well, I'm going to present you your teacher, Mireille Veilleux. So I said, we wanted to have his own. No? Okay, we're going to start, you know. And it's been going on for 40
something years.
45 years. Always. But
She's the peg.
wait, but Miriam is a vision.
Yeah, she is.
So, and she gave me my first group lesson, and still today. So I think we had good starts, you know. Not that
But
we
also
decided.
good continuity
Yes.
with that
Yeah.
thread.
Right.
Always
Well, of course, you know, and then we traveled, you know, for years, and then Miriam used to bring coaches as well to Montreal from England, and then we used to go to England, and you never know exactly sometimes the people you book in lessons. I realized today how, I have to say, lucky I was to have worked with really some of the best. You know, I could have ended up with somebody not that great, because it happens to many people, you know, you get very confused, and sometimes they've been almost so frustrated, almost discouraged that you can even
Get
leave.
stuck.
You get
Away,
stuck.
Spinning.
Stuck.
I remember, yes.
You don't want to change. You can't.
Well,
So you
very-
cannot
yeah.
progress.
Very lucky in a way.
Wait.
I always say that, you know, to be successful, you gotta have talent, but you gotta be lucky. I think you need luck to be successful in anything in life.
Right
You
place,
need-
right
I don't know the percentage, but I think you need luck. Yes, I was lucky in that sense.
So, do you remember who the coach was? This is a story you told one time about your humbling experience. You were complaining about she's not fast enough.
Oh,
this
oui.
and that, and
C'est pas de Beauvert, ça?
maybe there's something you can do to inspire her.
Oui, ça, c'est pas de
It
Beauvert.
was
C'est pas
always
très
one of my,
Beauvert.
Mr. Bouvert was always on my back. Always.
I love those lessons. I love those lessons.
I used to tell Mr. Bouvert, I said, Pat, at least I know you won't say anything to her. Can you say hello just to her? Because I might be, I used to tease him, you know. But again,
It was always-
just wonderful, you know. So he was again local, and he helped me at the time. I met Patrick Bouvert, you know, when I started to study to pass my exams, my professional exams. And Miriam recommended that I would work with him because, you know, he was a great technician. And then I discovered the man, and then, you know, we were like taking lessons with him, you know, afterwards, continuity for my technique skills that I was developing. Yes.
Pat Bouverne had a big school, a dance school in Wimbledon.
Yes, in
Wimbledon.
England at the time.
So, you know, he talked about the book with Alex Moore. It was all his friends, you know, so he has so much.
So much history
knowledge.
there.
Yes. So much knowledge. It was incredible.
Yeah. So,
How
this
long
is where
did you
we are.
dance with Danny Tremblay?
13 years. From 13 to 26.
And with Christian?
8 years for me. 4 years as an amateur and then 4 years as a professional.
Wow. That's a long-term partnership.
Yes, I mean
That
this.
too was lucky, you know. I mean, for me, I started with Denis and it was like 13 years. This too, you know, I didn't have to change partners. Sometimes, you know, people have trouble to find a partner. Something doesn't fit that. But from 13 to 26,
To most couple, I mean, you know, 8 years or 13 years or anywhere in those numbers, it is a dancing career.
Right.
So we both had separate dancing careers, and then we ended
Before
up
your career.
together having another dancing career, basically. So we have danced and competed for a long, long time, really, you know, for a long, long time. So which is great in a way because, you know, we kept learning, we kept challenging ourselves and traveling, you know, and then meeting a lot of wonderful people, you know. Yes.
Especially
Yeah.
everywhere.
And your shows always had a lot of thought how you're going to translate one to the next.
Yes.
No dead space, always a story. Did you do all this your own? Did Miriam help you with that? I know Miriam looks at everything.
Yes, she does.
You do.
She does, and then, you know, I used
You
to.
had a lot of ideas.
Good ideas.
He was always like,
Well, first of all, you know, I love music. You know, I love dancing, of course, but I love music. And then, you know, this is under the passion. I'm always looking for new music. And then at the time, I used to cut my own music from one of those small, you know, the cassette tape, the small decks. I used to spend hours and hours trying to make a cut and things like that with the technology, did not like today, you know. We didn't have computers in a way.
was a
So by the time I would bring the music to Miriam, I would know inside out the music itself, what I wanted to do with it and everything. So, but again, always need a third eye to see, you know, and then to develop it or say like, don't do that, doesn't look good. But yeah, so, but for me, it's always about the music. Have the desire to dance on it, to show something, to portray an emotion, or just, you know, a bit of a story.
And Miriam always had suggestions.
Yes.
You know, so like La Java. Do you remember the Java?
The little French
were
number,
doing-
yes.
That
Oh,
was
yeah.
from Miriam, you know. Oh, we should do a Java. And I said, okay. So
Is that the name of the type of dance?
Yes.
yes, La Java.
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 It's so funny because at the time we were frustrated because, you know, you spend years and years of developing skills from all the dancers and everything, and then we used to do 11 dance.
That would be the best number for
That would be the one people always remember. I said,
Everybody
okay,
talks about it. Oh, yeah.
Please, you know.
Thank you.
But that's the one they remember the most, you know, because again, we were able to make an impact to them and to make them scratch their heads and enjoy something that they'd never seen before.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting.
Well, also with a little story.
Yes.
Between
Yeah,
the two of
it's
you.
true. No,
Right.
Yes. And you know, we have this reputation of the people in Canada, and it's probably especially in Quebec, we have that, we call it the joie de vivre. You know, it's like, you know, just to be happy to live and everything. And I think that generally we reflect that when we dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long now have you owned the school? You bought the school?
We bought the school from Miriam.
When?
Miriam had the school. She opened it in 1977.
77, yes.
1977.
This was your dad's building?
Yes.
Father in the building?
Well, yeah. Because my dad was in the construction business and he was working at the bank at that time, and he heard, because he was inside, inside the administration, he heard that they wanted to move. So he went to see Miriam, and Miriam said, "Oh, you know, that could be a good place." So he said, I'll buy the building, the company, Veilleux Construction, buy the building, and then you can rent from me. So he started there.
Oh, that's not bad.
77. Yeah.
And then Miriam had the school for 10 years, and then after a while, she wanted to. And then the studio is called Studio 2720, because that was the time where Studio 57 in New York.
54.
54, yeah. So I've never been there.
No, we've
obviously.
been there once.
Not me.
That
I
was
was
a different guy.
practicing. Oh, we had the 1234, which
We
was a
did the
popular,
Captain.
like in a club in Montreal.
So Miriam
Miriam
had
thought that,
huh?
because but otherwise always a dance school, or
Yeah.
she just called it Studio 2720 because that's the address
Right.
of the dance
Right.
school. So that was a very clever idea because she always felt that it's hard if she would give the studio her name, and you sell your name, but then
Right.
you have new owners. You were like,
Yeah,
that's a bit.
That was a good idea.
Again, very good idea, very smart.
She thought about that.
So there was originally 4 of us. Again, we talked about Benoit Papineau. He was a partner at the beginning. And so it was Michel Guimont, another friend of ours. Mireille and I, we bought the school from Miriam.
In 87.
Yes. So this December,
This is an anniversary for you.
30
Yeah.
years for Mireille and I now, having the
The school.
Studio 2720, yes.
Right. And we didn't really, like at the beginning we were still dancing. So we didn't really do any type of, it was just giving us a room,
For
a
practice.
place for practice and all this.
Very
We
expensive
didn't
place
do
for
business.
practice.
We didn't do good business and we didn't care. We were, it was good for us. We were able to dance and practice and we were traveling and so.
So there were enough teachers coming in and teaching them to
Yes.
keep things like.
Oh, yes.
I guess, I don't
Yes.
really remember if
Well,
we,
yeah.
it always went okay.
We're not great business people. We're not. I know that. That's okay. 30 years, not
Well,
bad.
good enough.
We did it our way.
Yes.
That's right.
I did it my way. That's it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for.
It was our
sitting down
pleasure, and thank
yeah.
you, Bonnie,
Thank
for
you,
Bonita.
Bonita, for
We've
thinking
We're
been
about
with you for
us.
such a long time, exactly,
Yes, I
so
know.
we go a long way there. Remember the years you also used to come up
Oh,
when
yes.
you used to live in Boston, of course, so yeah.
Long drive.
Did you
Yeah.
come to Montreal with David?
We did
You were,
Danseurs.
oh,
Yes.
oh,
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
and we
Yeah.
went together to Mrs. Lebrassa.
Yes. And that's when you were in between. We had retired with Denny, and I said, "Do you miss it?" He said, "This is what I miss: the dresses."
Oh, we
Did you say that?
Did I say that?
Oh, she never told me that one.
I miss getting the new dress and all that.
New shoes. Oh, I love
Yeah,
shoes.
all that.
Ouais.
Expensive marriage.
Ouais.
An expensive dancing marriage.
Ouais. C'est vrai with David, hein?
Yeah.
But not with David Butcher.
No,
No,
because
that
it
was
was.
no,
way
that
later.
was after.
Way later.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that was even after Chuck. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, moved
No,
around.
I think so.
We could do that too.
I'll be like Ron Gunn. Oh, I don't want to tell those stories.
Oh, I think you should.
But I have some stories too.
She do like a selfie
yeah,
interview,
selfie.
which was very trendy in
We
these
can
days.
do it.
Selfie something.
That could be nice.